Hey everyone, ever stop and think about all the systems running in the background of our daily lives? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on one that supports us every day but often goes completely unnoticed. We're going to see how one single question can unlock a massive understanding of our local food system right here in our corner at Southeast Houston. All right, let's get into it.
This really just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? The food we eat, the lights that turn on, it's all thanks to these incredibly complex networks that we just expect to be there. And this explainer is all about taking a much closer look at one of those absolutely essential pieces right here in our own community.
So how in the world do you start to understand a system that's basically hidden in plain sight? Well, here's the thing. It doesn't start with some huge, intimidating research project. It starts with just a little spark of curiosity. It starts with one simple, fundamental question.
That's it. That's the question that kicks this whole thing off. I mean, with all the development we've seen around areas like Deer Park and Pasadena, it's easy to assume farming's a thing of the past here. But you'd be surprised. It's often still happening, just off the main roads. This question is literally the key that opens the door to understanding what's going on, who's involved, and where we fit in.
You know how it is. A really good question never just sits there by itself. It always leads to more questions. And that right there, that's where a real investigation begins. You start to kind of map out the landscape of your own curiosity, and pretty soon you've gone from one little thought to a whole framework for understanding what's going on.
So, to really get a handle on the impact of local farms, we first have to understand their actual presence. We need to start with the basics, questions about scale and scope. We're just trying to answer what is physically here.
First things first, we need a number. Are we talking about just a handful of farms scattered between Pasadena and LaPorte, or are there dozens? This number gives us a baseline, a starting point. It helps us figure out if local agriculture is something that's growing or if it's shrinking over time.
Okay, next up, what kind of farming are we even talking about here? Is our area known for those big traditional row crops? Is it more livestock operations? Or maybe it's the smaller specialty producers you see popping up at local farmers markets? The answer really starts to reveal our community's agricultural identity.
And finally, what's the physical footprint? How much of our local landscape is actually dedicated to agriculture? This helps you visualize the true scale and importance of it, to see the actual space these farms occupy right in our own backyard.
So now that we have a feel for the scale of things, it's time to move beyond just the data. Because farms aren't just plots of land. They're livelihoods. They're run by people. And this, my friends, is where the story gets really, really interesting.
This brings up a critical question. Who owns the farms? Are they family-run operations with deep local roots, maybe going back generations? Or are they bigger corporate enterprises? The answer to that one question has a massive impact on the local economy and the culture of our community. And the questions just keep getting deeper. We start asking about jobs, about the actual methods they're using. Is it conventional or organic? And, maybe most importantly, what are the real-world challenges these farmers and their workers face every single day? This is how you move from abstract numbers to human reality.
Okay, so we've mapped the farms, we've thought about the people, but this whole investigation really builds to the most important part, you. The community isn't just a passive bystander in the system. You're an active participant.
This is the absolute core idea of thinking and acting locally. Our daily choices, the local policies that are in place, they all have a direct, tangible impact on these farms. We're not just at the end of the supply chain, we are a living, breathing part of the system itself.
So here are the key places where we all connect. We can look at distribution and sales. How does the food actually get to us? We can investigate local policies to see what helps or hinders farms. And we can find ways to connect directly with the producers themselves. These are the real levers for community impact.
As we start to wrap this up, I really want to circle back to where we started. The most powerful tool we've talked about today isn't a data set or a map. It's the act of questioning itself, the inquiry. That's where the real power is.
Look, at the end of the day, we seek answers not just to know things, but to do things. When you understand the systems around you, it empowers you to make informed choices and take actions that make our community stronger. This is exactly what it means to think and act locally.
And that's such a perfect thought to land on. Farms aren't static relics of the past. They're dynamic, they're essential, and they're constantly adapting. And you know what? Our awareness and our support need to adapt right along with them.
So, I'll just leave you with this.
We've walked through a framework for understanding local farms. But this method, this applies to literally anything in our communities of Deer Park, LaPorte, and Pasadena. Our water, our energy, our local businesses. The only real question is, what will you choose to see? If you found this explainer valuable, please consider supporting our work at thinkandactlocally.com/donate. We'd also love to get your feedback at david@thinkandactlocally.com.